Hey everyone, Ryan here. So the Garmin Venu 2 Plus was launched last year around this time, and some folks were hoping that Garmin would announce the Venu 3 during the CES event, which obviously didn't happen, and I don't expect any announcements anytime soon. I mean, worst case scenario, they're going to announce it in the summer this year, but my point is that this is actually a good reason to consider buying the Venu 2 Plus instead of waiting. And even though I've had a few videos already about this watch, I still get quite a lot of questions and comments, so it's a great opportunity to rewind, do a full review after 1 year of using it every day, pretty much 24/7, seriously. At 43 millimeters, it's not the most badass looking watch, so if you really want a watch like that, then it's probably not for you. Also, your wrist size should be between 125 to 190 millimeters if you want a good fit. One of the benefits of a smaller watch like the Venu 2 Plus is that it's less in the way of you doing things, and it's more comfortable to wear all day long, including during the night, if you want to track your sleep. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Because it's got a good and reliable sleep tracker that I'll talk about more in just a minute. But to finish up my thoughts on the physical aspect of the watch, like I said, it's very comfortable, but I had a thing with the wristband where it caused some kind of rash on my skin. Then it went away, and then it came back, but I finally figured out how to get rid of it without having to buy some other wristbands. All I did was that I loosened up the band just a notch, and now it's perfectly fine, and it hasn't caused me any rash or discomfort. But usually when I'm exercising, especially if it's running, I just tighten it to make sure it's staying in place during fast movements to get the best readings. So some smartwatches these days, like the Galaxy watches, have this kind of menu where you swipe left and right to have access to all different pages. With the Venu 2 Plus, the UI is simple and yet not too simple that feels boring to look at. Instead, you have essentially 3 kinds of views, and if you add the settings view, that's 4. So these are the glances view, where you can swipe up or down to see almost all your important metrics at a glance, hence the name. Then there's the apps and activities, which you can find by pressing the top right button that you can use to start tracking different kinds of sports and activities, plus other apps you may have downloaded to your watch. And finally, the controls view, which can be found by pressing and holding the top right button, which is basically a shortcut for doing all sorts of things like making phone calls, putting your watch to do not disturb mode using Garmin Pay, changing display brightness, and so on. And you can reorder them as well. One of the very first impressions or most important things in any watches I ever try is the lag or input lag. This watch was one of the smoothest watches I tried last year, and still, after 1 year of wearing it, it's smooth like day one. So let's take a look at some of these views. This is the steps view, and in it you can see your total steps and your daily goals and your total steps for each day in the past 2 weeks, and also in distance. And also, if you have any goal streaks, it'll show you that as well. I think the highest I've had was around 15 days or so. Let's now take a look at the body battery. So this is some kind of energy level indicator that varies throughout the day, usually just drains, but you can slow it down by giving yourself plenty of breaks and rest periods, which means your stress level directly affects this number, and also how you slept the night before. I rarely get to 100 myself, but if I wake up and the body battery is, say, below 70, then I know it's not the kind of day I'd want to, push myself so hard, even though I might feel okay and refreshed when I wake up, because I'm gonna have to preserve my energy levels for the entire day, because otherwise half an hour or 45 minutes moderate or intense physical activity can easily drain 15 to 20 units of the body battery. And related to that is the stress management feature, which is one of my favorite. Last year when I first reviewed the watch, I quickly learned that throughout the day there are many times where the watch can't measure your stress levels because of some kind of movement which results in these gaps in the stress chart. But those little gaps are still quite insignificant, that it really doesn't affect the overall accuracy and the big picture when it comes to measuring the stress levels on any given day. And a quick explanation here: a stress level of below 25, it will have a blue bar, and anything above that number will be this orangish yellow bar. But if you go to sleep before midnight, you can affect the overall day's stress level. And so a more than normal stress level can be balanced out if you go to sleep early, and so the next day you might see your otherwise yellow bar from the day before has become blue. I've also really enjoyed having the high stress alert feature. For me, during the whole past year, it's been, to the best of my knowledge, accurately alerting me of high stress levels. Yes, there are times that I already know I have high stress, but there are also times that I'm not aware of it, and the watch alerting me of this is a great reminder to take it easy, or if possible use a breathing technique that comes with the watch. And there are 4 of these breathing types that I use quite frequently actually. So some other watches allow you to program the duration of inhales and exhales with otherwise a very simple and limited technique of breathing. But with Garmin, you can't do that, but instead you have access to these more advanced types of breathing exercises. You can get to the breathing exercise either through the stress management view or in the apps and activities. Some other interesting things here in the glass view are the respiration rate and your heart rate, of course, which also shows you the average resting heart rate of the past 7 days. Pulse oximetry, where you can also do an on-demand measurement or turn on the 24-hour measurement, which will significantly affect the battery life, or only choose to turn on during sleep. You can also see the sleep analysis right here in the glass view, and in my opinion it really helps that you can almost see everything here, from your sleep score to the length of each of your sleep cycles. And I've noticed that throughout last year the sleep tracking has become better and more reliable with every major software update. But I think it's a great practice to remember exactly when you wake up, so if you decide to stay in bed and maybe check out your phone for a while, then if by any chance the watch thought that you're asleep again, you can go to the app and edit the waking time manually. You can also see the past 7 days of activities as a summary here, and you can see the details of each one of these activities if you want to. And by the way, all these widgets here in the glass view can be reordered or deleted, or more stuff can be added to. And I didn't go over every single thing here, but the most important ones in this video. So for example, I used to have the hydration app here, which I deleted because it wasn't very good. And then probably one of the most important views is the apps and activities. I'm obviously not going to mention everything here, but as you can see, there are quite a lot of sports that you can track. And since last year, in 2 of their major releases, they have added support for other sports like tennis, disc golf, etc. There's even yard work here, so that's interesting and useful if you do a lot of yard work. One of the questions I often get about the Venu 2 Plus is whether it tracks the heart rate variability or HRV, and the answer is it does, but only as an on-demand feature where you can measure that alongside a couple of other things. And to do that, you start this health snapshot, which takes 2 minutes, and you should stay still during the measurement. But unfortunately, there is no way to see a trend of either HRV or other metrics measured during those 2 minute health snapshot measurements. I've been personally trying to run these health snapshots regularly, but I keep forgetting sometimes, and that's why having a long-term chart that shows a trend of these metrics like the HRV would encourage people to keep running these measurements regularly around the same time every day. And by the way, I have a video about strength training with the Venu 2 Plus, so go check that out after this video. In terms of battery life, again, just like the wristband, I've also had some issues with it, which I've also created a video about that you can watch. But basically, I can get between 3 to 7 days of battery life. But to get a battery life of 7 days, it really depends on what you do, and especially how many times and for how long you use the GPS. And I'm also really surprised about the quality of the watch. As I said, I've been wearing it pretty much 24/7, and when I take a shower, I always wear the watch, and I've been very active as well. One thing to note though, if it gets wet, you might notice the notifications and all the sounds sound like they come from underwater, because the water gets trapped inside of these holes where the speaker is, and as soon as it dries up, it's all good again. So I think this is one of those watches that's definitely worth buying in 2023, and even if you're not an active person, I think the fact that there is a microphone and speaker on it that you can use to make and receive calls, of course as long as it's connected to your phone, makes this a worthy watch, especially if you get it on sale. The other thing I was a little concerned about was the heart rate accuracy, but that also surprised me at how reliable it can be. When running, I've only had one instance where the heart rate dropped from around 180 to a number much lower abruptly, and that lasted for a few seconds. But when doing strength training, I can see this heart rate sometimes not being as accurate as when running with the watch. And that's mainly when I'm doing things that involve a lot of wrist movement. Other than that, it's been really good. In fact, it's been one of the best. And by the way, I don't think I'm done with this watch, and I'll be sure to make more videos about it and review other watches and many other products. So if you like that, please subscribe and also hit the like button if this has been a good video. But one more thing, I've also received a lot of questions about notifications, specifically text notifications, and also the vibration motor. So the vibration motor is, in my opinion, pretty good, and you can change the intensity of it. Mine was for a long time on medium intensity. I never missed any notifications or anything, but recently I changed it to high intensity and I could barely see a difference. And about text messages, when somebody texts you, you can see it on the watch, but if it's too long, it gets cut off. You also can't write directly messages or replies, and you're limited to quick replies. So I think it would have been on the next level if you could do that. And if you really want to watch with that kind of capability, you can watch this video next.